Welcome, everybody, to another game here as an AAC matchup between the Bryan College Lions and the Bluefield University Rams. I'm Jackson Bastian on the call to bring you guys some great matchups here on Mercer Mall Community Day. First 50 people to show up to the complex and go to the tent under the red tent, next to the brown shed by the parking lot will get a chicken sandwich. And I hear the laughs of some of the people who are around me. Like you said, you can tell it is Community Day here at the East River Soccer Complex. And to give you guys a little bit of context behind this team, Bryan College comes into this contest 1-6 with their sole win being over Brenau University Tigers out of Gainesville, Georgia, in a 3-0 matchup in favor of the Lions. And Bluefield University comes into this match 0-8-1, looking for their first win. And their first win against the Bryan College Lions. The last time these two played, it was an 0-1 match in favor of the Lions. Their whole series history goes 0-12-1. So a very exciting matchup for a lot of the people. Of course, to give you guys some more, there was an interview that was posted earlier this morning featuring soccer standout Alicia Pena of Beyond the Ram. And she talks a lot about the chemistry behind this team and how she, as a senior leader, what is going on here in the time. The Rams coming off of a 2-1 loss against Columbia International. Also coming in here, like I said, on a 4-game losing streak, along with the Bryan College coming in here on a 4-game losing streak as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me as we start this one out here, as they go to their crowds and pray and converse, get each other hyped for this matchup. Of course, the Bryan College Lions are coached by Coach Jason Davidson, who is in his second season with the Lions. He was part of the 2001, he graduated in 2001 and was under the legendary Hall of Fame coach for the Lions in Zandy Zenson. And of course, I've talked about it multiple times how I don't know how they do it, but the Bryan College soccer and a lot of their other kinds of teams have such a diverse network. Of course, Coach Justin Morton of the men's soccer team was a graduate of Bryan College and coached there for a number of years. And if you go find his YouTube, you'll find a lot of really cool videos about his time at Bryan College. I want to thank a couple of our sponsors. Since 1989, Black Tie Charters has gone the extra mile in providing exceptional service for its clients. The Rams ride with Black Tie Charters. As there's the kick, and it goes back. Back and forth. Attempted steal by Stott. Coming across midfield. Bypassing the Rams. Kicks across. And knocked up by Adkins. They cross into the box. Ledford coming out. Ledford, the freshman. Been the starter here a couple weeks in a row. She's done a pretty good job of saving a lot of those extra goals, keeping a lot of these close games. Scott goes over to Pena. A little bit of contact on the far side. Scott kicking into the box. He goes across. On a sprint, Newman. A little more pushing and shoving. Still keeping it in play. Goalie coming out. Punting it away, moving to about midfield. Is the attempt steal by Scott. Knocks it out of bounds. For better field position. Throw in. Kicked away by Adkins. Pena. As that's off the feet. Throw in. Gebhard. Andre still with possession, passing it over to Brown. Kicked out the back line. Ledford, goal kick. Here's the kick. Adkins. Put with Andreas. Murphy. Trying to pass it by Amdahl. Goes back center. Andres off the body of Adkins. Rolls out the back line. Murphy setting up for the corner kick. Ural's in position. Here it comes. Knocked away. Cox. Knocked away by Murphy. Andreas off the body of a Ram. Possession still with the Lions. Gebhard thrown in. And I have to say that a lot of this Bryan College team consists of a lot of freshmen, as Andreas kind of bumped a little. Ledford knocking that out. Corner kick coming up. On the end of the box. Headed up, rolls out the back line once again. Ledford coming out. Ticked up by Brown. Gibson. Picked up, saved by Ledford. Ledford coming out. Gibson almost coming into the goal. On the far touchline. Throw-in coming from the Lions. Kicked in center. Newman. Kicked far past Andreas. Kicked in and past the hands of Ledford for the first goal of the game. First goal, of course, very tempo setting and practically controls most of the game. We'll have to see what the Rams can put together here. course, that goal was made by Andreas. Pena over to Amdahl. Newman, Pena. Back to Amdahl. Sprinting forward. Macy going over the goal and past the back line. Goal kick coming up for the Lions. Goal kick coming up from Murphy out of Athens, Tennessee, McMinn County High School. Almost into center field. Amdahl to Scott. Scott across over to Pena. Amdahl. A lot of contact there. Murphy slow to get up. Free kick coming. Free kick by Gebhard. Murphy could go over the back line and over the goal, setting up. Ledford. Headed away and out of bounds. Possession still with the Rams. Just now joining us, one into the box. Goalie lands on it. 33 minutes remaining here in half number one. Andreas. A tripped up Scott. It's passed back to Gebhard. Gibson. A solo score against their game versus Reinhardt recently. Kicked away and over by Brown. Ledford for the goal kick. Ledford off the tin roof on the far touchline. Bryan throwing it in. Take back to center field. Gebhard. McGee. McGee. Back to Gebhard. Over to Gebhard. Ledford staying in front. Coming out for the goal kick. Gebhard. In a minute, a foot fight with Brown. Is back towards Scott. Center field still keeping it in possession of the Rams. As Brown goes across the field to Murphy. Kicked in over the foot of Adkins as it rolls almost out of bounds. Possession with the Lions. We're going to see a corner kick coming up here in a sec. Looked into the box and headed away. Andreas bypassing a couple Rams, rolling out the back line. Goal kick coming up for Ledford. Headed back towards the Rams' goal. Andreas. Gabbard. Newman trying to get past Gabbard as she knocks it back to Scott. On the near, almost on the near touchline. McBride and Gabbard kicked in. Amdahl back to McBride. McBride coming in towards the box. Almost rolling out of bounds. Andreas. To an open field, and Gibson kicked away by Key. Possession still with the Lions. Brown to Andreas. A cross by Murphy. Adkins. Gabbard. Andreas. Almost on the near side. Ledford coming out. McGee had to jump over her. Back in center. Andreas. Adkins. Over to McBride. Kicked into an open field. Nobody there. The Lions recover. Murphy. Brown. Trying to get past Pena. Newman. Take back to Newman. Gabbard stealing it. Murphy in a foot race with Pena. Kept in bounds but deemed out. Setting up for the goal kick, Ledford. The kick coming across. Gabbard. Gabbard. McGee. Getting into the far press box. Pena. Almost kept in bounds. Murphy. Adkins over to Pena. Pena to Hartman. Cox in a foot race, but the goalie comes out to recover. Brown. Picked away by Adkins. Coach Morton trying herself to keep that one in bounds, even though it rolled out. Picked away by Murphy. Gibson on the line, rolling out. Possession still with him. Murphy over to Gibson. Gibson, the freshman. Almost off the shin of Adkins, rolling out the back line as a corner kick coming up from McGee. As it's a gray day here at the East River Soccer Complex for Community Day. Not as much wind or fog, thankfully, as it's kicked into the box. Recovered by a Ram. Kicked away towards Cox. Cox in a foot race. Cox sprinting. Still kicked. Miller coming across midfield. Gibson and Adkins. A little bit of contact sliding by, but on the left side of the goal, rolling out of bounds. Ledford setting up. 23 minutes left here in half number one. It was off the head. Gabbard almost tuned up in Gibson. McGee over to Andreas. Kicked away by Amdahl. Hartman. We get a cross almost as it rolls at the back line. Goal kick coming up. Very interesting tactic. Of course, the goals do not have to be kicked by the goalie exclusively. We give possession to Bryan as Gabbard. Here's the kick coming. Brown. Miller gaining control over to McGee. Andreas. Over to Gabbard. Off the shoulder of a Ram, headed up by Whitaker. As the rain starting to pick up here at the East River Soccer Complex, rolling off the side Coming from McGee, almost off the hands. Murphy with an open goal puts the second point on the board for Bryan.
Tennis is much bigger. Tennis, you can make 20 million a year if you're Serena Williams. Women's, men's. I don't know any tennis players. Just because you have one player doesn't make the whole country good at it.
McBride and Cox in center.
You guys have 30.
Kicked back towards Adkins, recovering for Newman. Miller. Away by Newman. Almost rolling out on the far touchline. Still keeping it inbounds. Is this knocked out? Throw in coming up for the Rams. McBride. Kicked in center. Missed by Whitaker. Adkins. Over to Omdahl. Gibson. Passed over. Murphy. Off the feet of Omdahl, rolling out the back. Goal kick coming up. Lions still heavy on the Rams side of the field. Missed by a couple players. Gebhard, as that's almost knocked out of bounds by Hartman, but deemed out of bounds. Throw-in coming by Omdahl. Hartman. Away center. As the goalie gets her hands on it and bowls it out. Over to Gebhard. Murphy fighting with the touchline. Andreas into keeping it in. Past Adkins. And a couple misses there. Miller racing towards the far touchline. Gebhard. Newman getting a handle on it. A little too much. Hitting the far press box. 17 minutes left here in half number one. Across the field to Gebhard. Andreas kicked in and past the hands of Ledford. And another goal for the Bryan College Lions as they move back center. McBride and Cox. Back towards Scott. Scott over to Whitaker. Whitaker back and forth. Gebhard. Hartman kicking it back. Newman. Hartman with the hard kick over the back line on the right side of the net. Goal kick coming up for the Lions. Kick towards the middle. Racing into the attacking third. Able to get possession and roll it out of bounds as the rain starts to pick up here. Throw in coming. Away by Adkins. The missed head off the shoulder of Cox. Brown. Almost kicked in, but hits the side of the goal. There's a little too much contact. Possession goes back to the Rams. 15 minutes here. Ledford coming out. Headed away and back. Adkins and Gibson. Gibson coming into the box, kicking it towards the goal, right into the hands of Ledford. Kicked off the side of the foot. Possession still with the Rams. As Hartman kicks it into Gebhard, knocking it out of bounds. Amdahl throwing it in on the near side. Newman. Hartman still keeping it in. She takes a second to get up. McBride right into the hands of the goalie of Bryan. Kicked in. Almost rolling into the far side. Gibson. One Ram to beat. Kicks it across. And away by Amdahl. Rolling out the back line. Couple of substitutions coming in for Bryan. Of course, something that has stricken a lot of teams in our conference is the injury plague that I know has been going around. As number 22, Evans, takes this goal kick. Coming in, rolling out the far side of that goal. Goal kick coming up from Ledford. As that rolls past Evans, still in. Miller. A lot of contact between Miller and Cox. Nothing called, though. It's away by Cox off the back of McBride. McBride keeping up. A couple people in her corridor. As it goes to Newman. Newman kicking it back towards Key. Amdahl. Over to Key. Miller keeping it away. Andreas. Murphy. Whistle blown dead. Clock still ticking as play resumes. Almost in center. Omdahl. Past Whitaker. Gabbard. Still keeping it in bounds. Whitaker kicking it out. Murphy. Check that. Gabbard electing to throw in. Headed up. Kicked away by Hartman. Over to Cox. Newman. Over to Omdahl. Omdahl passes to Whitaker. A lot of contact from Scott as that's blown. It rolls out of bounds. Free kick coming up from Adkins. That's kicked across the field over towards Cox. Bicycle kicked up. Key. Coming in front, middle through, megs it through the legs of Andreas. So he goes across the field. Omdahl in a foot race with Lyon. A lot of contact coming. Adkins almost staying in front with an open goal right into the hands of Ledford. Cox. Gabbard. Just and away. Evans keeping it in. Hitting Omdahl, still keeping it in. Kicked in center, right to Murphy, but into Brown and over the goal. As another goal kick coming up. A lot of people coming out for Merchant Mall Community Day. Come on down. Tons of great activity and food for the community. Thank you guys so much. I know it is a little bit of a rainy day. Thank you for coming out and supporting your community. Back into the box. Ledford almost coming out. Omdahl. Hartman. Possession with Bryan. Gabbard. Throwing it in. Adkins. Newman over to Cox. Brown. Over to Gebhard. Lacrosse Evans trying to get it past Omdahl. Off the body of Omdahl. Corner kick coming up for the line. Evans putting up her hand. Coming in the box. Headed away. Gebhard. Saved by Ledford. I apologize for some of the technical issues that we may be occurring here as we look to resolve them. Still kept in off for the far Bill. The way towards Murphy. Murphy across the field towards Evans. Evans on here in half number one. Gebhard getting a handle on it. Hartman through the legs of Omdahl. Murphy. Free and into the goal. Ledford slow to get up. As that puts on goal number 4 for the Lions. Slow start for the Rams. Omdahl over to Whitaker. Kept in. Almonda's back to Adkins. Farmer. Knocked out of bounds by Key. Throw-in coming in by Farmer. Brown. Almost kicked away. Near touchline. Almost slid out. Play stopped. Brown slow to get up. Walks it off. Scott. Play still stopped. Gebhard. Setting up for the kick. Almonda's Key in front. Setting all up. Play resumes. Kicked away into the box. Rolling out the back line. Ledford. Ledford. The sun starts to peek out. That's over. Amandaz. Over to Newman. Off of the foot of Newman. Brown. Gibson off of the body of Ledford as it rolls off of the far touchline. Throw-in coming up from the Lions. Great save from Emily Ledford. Whitaker. A lot of slipping and sliding. First game we're going to see Whitaker out on the field. Of course, having a injury of her shoulder earlier this season. Coming out, starting right up here in the starting 10. Adkins setting up. Into center field. Whitaker keeping a handle on the ball. Slide tackle, tripping up a couple. Play still in resume. Rolls past the back line. A Lion down. Setting up for the free kick. Pass McBride. Miller. Cross from McGee. Almost open. Brown. Kicked past the back line. Possession still with Bryan. 35 minutes left here in half number 2. McGee setting up for the corner kick. Coming into the box. Almost kicked away Amdahl. Back to Adkins. Whitaker. Possession with Bryan. Thrown in. Slipping and sliding. As Adkins keeps that one inbounds. Pass from Key. She clears it. Hartman moving it down the field. Gebhard. Kicked up. A lot of contact coming from Brown. It's kicked over right into the hand. She bobbles it a little bit. Ledford walking out. Kicked away into midfield. Miller. Gibson. Kicked in. Save. Key kicking it away. Gibson getting a hand on it. Two Lions slipping. Amandaz knocking it out of bounds. Possession still with Bryan. If you're just now joining us, 4-0 the score here at the East River Soccer Complex of Game 1 of our doubleheader versus Bryan College for Mercer Mall Community Day here on October 9th. Of course, if you got here earlier, you know got a free Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. We had multiple raffles going on. Of course, our entire athletic department here and Bluefield made up 80% of athletics as Miller in a fighting race with McBride is knocked down. Gebhard. Thacker coming into the game. It goes right into the hands of Bryan's head coach. Amdahl throwing it in off the chest of Hartman. Andreas kicked away. Almost open field for Cox. Amandaz kicking it up. Hartman and Gebhard. Rolls down the touchline. Thacker. Murphy. Garcia with a missed kick. Possession still with the Rams. Thacker. Take the crossover towards Miller. Got it away by Scott. Pena. Hartman getting past Gebhard. Kicks it away and across past the back line. Cox not able to make it there in time. As Bryan sets up for a goal kick, of course, Alyssa Carnes in the goal for the Lions. Key. Amdahl to Amandaz. Still keeping it inbounds. Kicked away. Key. Atkins coming out. Deflecting. Still keeping it inbounds. As Key keeping it in. Number 12, Scott, slow to get up. Still taking a sack after that tumble past Key. Gibson and Amdahl. Less than 30 minutes left in this game. So you can hear the wind that rages the East River Soccer Complex every time we come. Pena. Adkins over to Amdahl. Rolls past the back line. Corner kick coming up for Bryan. Corner kick coming up. A lot of kicking and coming, and Ledford is down. Able to keep it away. Andreas still keeping it in balance. Off the body of Adkins, sets up another corner kick. Corner kick coming up from Evans. This ball comes, headed away and over the goal. Very close one indeed for Bryan. Check that, Madison Price in at goal. Put it away by Scott. Key. Hartman. Cross into midfield. Brown. Still kept in. Scott tripped up. Murphy in possession and a free kick coming up for Bryan. As you can see, the Bryan College men's team starting to warm up. The game will be coming on right after here, set to start at 1. Of course, it'll probably be a little bit later than that. We started a little early today at 11. As that kick from Andreas goes up and over. Right into midfield. Right to Ledford. McBride passed, is kicked away by Carnes. Almondas over to Cox. Cox, a lot of aggression coming from number 5 as that's almost knocked off the body. And that rolls out of bounds. Corner kick coming up for the Rams. As now you can see the BU men's team warming up with Coach Morton on the far sideline. As Cox sets up for this one. Up, staved but rolled out of bounds. Kick coming up. Over towards Brown. McBride hopping over. McBride over to Almondas. Farmer, the throw-in. Almondas fighting to keep it in bounds, along with Pena off the body of Key. Murphy, Andreas and Cox, check that Amdahl, rolls out the back line. Past the halfway mark here in the second half. Price. Sits up for this kick. The way, headed up. Evans and Almdahl, as Almdahl kicks that past the back line. Evans setting up for a corner kick. Kicked away by Adkins. Amdahl over to Pena. Scott. Newman. Headed up and off the shoulder. Then Carnes coming out. As the wind starts to pick up here at the East River Soccer Complex. The ERSC. All moving past midfield. Dangerous game and attempt. Play blown dead. Almost a goal from Hartman. Not Hartman, check that. Murphy. Across midfield. Rolled out of bounds, possession with Bryan. Throw-in coming in. Farmer. Garcia throwing a couple feet in there. And that goes to Bryan as Abigail Keith throws that one in. Headed up. Another head. A couple of back-to-back heads. Umdahl. Scott. Right into the hands of Carnes. Of course, Kaya McKee. One score away from getting a hat trick of her own. You're just not joining us. Rams currently trail 4-0 here on Community Day. Rolling out the far touchline. Possession still with the Rams as Abigail Key comes to throw that one in. Right to Gracia Almdaz. Whitaker. Rolling out of bounds. Of course, Farmer preventing Gracia from retrieving that one. Off the body of number 23. Hager. And Pena. Throw in. Cleared away into center field. Omdahl. Hartman. Check that McBride. That one goes out of bounds and almost into our bleachers here. Alicia Pena tying her shoes. And, of course, the Beyond the Ram with Alicia Pena came out this morning on the Rams Digital Sports Network's YouTube channel. So please go take a look at that one as we take an in-depth look at the lives of our athletes beyond their sport here at Bluefield University. That goes off of McGee. Thrown in by Hartman. Couple kicks going up in the air. McBride. Miller kicking it out. McBride. Pena. Murphy. Evans. Going down the far touchline. No one in front of her except for Price. Kicks it in as that rolls past the back line. Neil thought possibly she could get away with trying to act like it hadn't gone out of bounds. But it was deemed out of bounds by a Ram. So a corner kick is coming up for the Lions in Evans. A little less than 12:30 here. as Evans takes the ball across the field to the other slot for the goal kick. Neal adjusting her headband. Sets up for the corner kick. Clock stopped at 12:36. As play now resumes. Kicked up, knocked away. Neal still keeping it there. Another missed head, rolls it past the back line. And a goal kick coming up for Price. (12:10) as it's kicked away by Price. Bicycle by Neal. Hartman. And another tripped up Lion by Edkis. I don't believe that was intentional. I think she's attempting to get the ball, but it flopped by Murphy. Miller. Taking this kick. It goes right into the hands of Price. As that's punted away. Bride racing down the far touchline. Almost out of bounds by Gabbard. Moving into the attacking third. And it's kicked out of bounds by Bryan. It's the Rams in a much better field position in the Rams half of the field. Picked up and rolls past the back line. Ten minutes left here in play. Whitaker. It's over to Andreas. Murphy and Pena. Newman. Andreas kicks it forward. Brown and Key. There's an open goal. Amdahl kicking it away and rolling out of bounds. Throwing coming up for the Lions. It's a close one at the goal line, with Price being a little too liberal with her position. Check that. Throw in for the Rams. Off the head of McGee. Another throw in coming in. Andreas, Murphy, Whitaker. He's across the Cox. Kicked away. Cox to throw in. Over towards Omdahl. Possession still with Bluefield. As Bryn Hartman sets up for this goal kick. Batted away. Goalie getting handed on it. Slipped up by Miller. Able to recover quickly as she moves the ball past the middle. Andreas open. Got to get past Adkins. Kicks it center. Another miss. Kicked it blocked by Price. Very slipping and sliding occurring on the field. Of course, lots of downpour earlier in the half in the game. Neal setting up for this corner kick. Her hand goes up. Ball's towards the center. Kicked away almost not 2 inches away from the goal before knocked away by a Ram. Another corner kick coming up for Neal. Kicked over towards Miller. Hartman. Neal. Knocked in bounds into the goal by number 13. Check that. Number 12, Scott. Another point on the board for Bryan. Puts the Lions up 5-0 here late in the second half. Hartman. Throw-in by Key. Pena. Cleared away out to Omdahl. Andreas kicks it in towards center, right to the goalie, as we are now under 5 minutes left here in the game. Brown. Over to McGee. Knocked out of bounds by Omdahl. Time stopped at 4:08. .420 back onto the clock. As another goal goes on the board. Lions now up 6-0. Minutes left. Cox to Newman. Key. Throw in from Hartman. Pena. Kicked away. Murphy and Newman. Adkins. Off of the body of Key. Adkins. Out of bounds, possession with Bryan. .230 left here in the game. Pena. Kicked out of bounds. McBride. A lot of contact between McGee and Amdahl. Hartman setting up for the free kick. Blocked and landed on by Carnes. Punted by Carnes right to Andreas. Passes by almost to Miller. Foot fight on the far corner. Kicked away by Amdahl. Throw in. Coming in from Amdahl. Kick towards the center. Nothing called. McBride. And a penalty called with 20 seconds left. Kick coming from Hartman. I believe they're going to converse about how much time needs to be put back on the clock. Eight seconds left. Kick coming up from Bryn Hartman. As both teams look to get set. Whistle blown and then blown again. Signify another stop. 14 seconds now put on the clock. As play now resumes. Hits the crossbar. Almost their goal. Adkins. As the ball rolls past middle field. That's your game, ladies and gentlemen. Bluefield University loses this one 6-0. A couple of system errors, and it cost them late in the game. Much better second half played by the Rams, as we want you guys to stick around here for the second game of our doubleheader between the men's teams of Bryan and Bluefield. Like I said, Bluefield loses this one 6-0 to Bryan here at the East River Soccer Complex on Mercer Mall Community Day. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Stick around for the second game.